What's up, guys? Welcome to Genshin Impact tier list today. I made it big yesterday. I'm viral. Alright. 200 plus views as of recording. Never before has anyone hit such heights. Alright, I'm the greatest there ever was. And as you can see, it hasn't even gotten close to getting to me. I will never let the fame get to me. Alright? This is just how it is. This is just me. All right, I'm not changing for no one. This is me. Deal with it. All right? Okay. With that being said, let's get into a Genshin Impact tier list today. We're going to be looking at all the characters that have been confirmed for the game, including yet to be seen characters. So, without further ado, let's hop into it, guys. With our first character here, the Traveler. Now, the Traveler is already a bit of a tricky one, because the Traveler has three different elements. If we're looking at Anemo, we're probably saying B tier. If we're looking at Geo, we're probably saying D tier. If we're looking at Electro, we're probably saying B tier. If we're looking at what the heck is the new one? Dendro, we're looking at A tier. Personally, I haven't really dived into any of the other versions of the character, so we're gonna stick with Dendro. We're gonna put him in A tier. I think Dendro, as a new element, obviously has a lot of value, and the new reactions are pretty strong. The new artifact sets are pretty good. The Dendro Traveler that I'm building is for my Sino, so we're not really using the new sets. Stats don't matter, but it's a support, and I think supports in this game specifically are pretty solid. So Traveler, we're gonna get overall. Maybe overall we give it a B tier. I think on average we're gonna say B tier for the Traveler overall. We put all the elements together, we'll give it a B tier. Overall. That's what I said 5 times. Beidou, now here's where things get nutty. Here's where things get crazy. Okay, guys? Right off the bat, I got a hot take for you guys. I think Beidou's S tier. Now, I have SS for like the true, actual elite characters, but I think Beidou is easily S tier. I would put him in the double S, in the SS tier, but I gotta appease my new cohort, my thousands of fans. Just kidding. But in all seriousness, Beidou is underrated. I think underappreciated. I didn't plan on pulling for Beidou when he came out in Christmas time. 2 years ago, whatever, 2020, 2019, jeez, and I was just like, yeah, I guess I'll get him, and I fell in love with him. He's my favorite character in the entire game. I'd easily put him in double S, but I have to understand that, he's a Geo. If he was any other not any other, if he was Electro, or Cryo, or Hydro, or Pyro, okay, if he was any of the 4 core elements, he would easily be double S, everyone's favorite sub DPS. But sadly, because he's Geo, he doesn't get a lot of those reactions with his Solar Isotoma, and that's going to prevent him from actually being the best character in the game. So his element is the only thing that holds him back. I think that's pretty obvious to anybody who understands this character at all. They would know, if he was any other, if he was a good element, he'd be the best character in the game. So, that's that. Beidou's freaking nuts. Alright, guys. Amber, F tier. Amber sucks. Her skill, terrible. It's bad. Her constellation's worthless. Her ascension passive's worthless. Actually, I think one of her ascension passives makes her ultimate radius a little bit bigger, which is good in theory, because her ultimate radius is her ultimate is the only good thing about the character, except that it is so small, it doesn't do anything. You can't do anything with this. You need this. You know, Ganyu's ultimate is like 10 times larger and has quadratic scaling. So there's that going on. But Amber is just such a bad version. She's so bad. She has nothing special about her kit at all. She's just a bad unit. There's no redeeming qualities to Amber, sadly. It's just not going to happen. Ayaka, S tier. I think her skill is... I mean, it has some good damage numbers, but I think the overall application is not great. I like her cryo things, but her ultimate is really where she shines. Pair her with Shen He, and you get some seriously nice damage. The DPS is really, really good, especially if you hit a heavy enemy and then it stays in one place and you can get that AoE going, like through a Venti ultimate or something. You get like 5 or 6 ticks on every enemy. Everything's going to die instantly. She's really strong. Blizzard Strayer is one of the best DPS sets. Being able to build a ton of cryo or crit rate is really, really huge for these characters, especially if you can build crit damage circlet and have whatever that crit damage sword is. That's her special sword that everybody else can use really well too. It's a very good sword. I can't think of the name of it. But yeah, she's very, very solid, very dependable DPS. And she is kawaii, as they say. Really, really good. Really easy to build, really easy to play. Does a ton of damage. Good character. Barbara, C tier. Barbara in a summer outfit, B tier. DPS Barbara, D tier, but fun. I would say Barbara is just a worse Kokami. We'll get to Kokami way later in this. We got a long ways to go, boys. Barbara, she's free. You can get like 2 constellations or something for free. I think there are like multiple Barbara copies you can get, actually. She's pretty good. I still don't have C6 Barbara. I don't think I do. I don't wish on Barbara banners. It's just kind of a policy. Unless it's Sino, of course. We'll get to that later. But we don't know anything about Sino's banner. I hope that Barbara is not on that banner. That would suck. I want Yanfei constellations, baby. I want Yanfei. Actually, I have a C2 Beidou. Or C1 Beidou. That's kind of weird. Anyway, we're looking at Barbara. Her skill is okay. Ocean Hued Clam set is honestly like the saving grace of all healers in this game because of the shield meta and like all the Geo stuff with Zhongli basically breaking the game and making it so healers weren't necessary at all. Now all of a sudden Ocean Hued Clam makes healers DPSs, and all of a sudden they are much more viable because they can provide a ton of overhealing, and that overhealing has value. Characters like Chi-Chi look a lot better. Characters like Kokami look so much better. Kokami was terrible before Ocean Hued Clam, and now it really, really works. She's a great character. We'll talk about that later. But overall, I think Barbara's just a worse version of Kokami. She has some good instant healing for the whole party, and she can heal off-field, which is pretty good. Her charge attack damage multiplier is pretty good, but it costs 50 stamina, which is bad. Catalyst users are clunky, and their auto-aim is bad. And she can't fight the wolf to save her life. She freezes herself, which is really bad. I'm pretty sure they showed that in like a trailer. They showed a trailer, and Barbara froze herself. So, just a C-tier character. Beidou, I'd probably say... As an individual character, I'd probably say B tier, but as a support, I might give her A, actually. I think we're going to say A for now. No, we're going to say B. We're going to say B. But better than the Traveler. We'll say better than the Traveler, B tier. Yeah. Okay, so Beidou, she has the counter, which is one of the most fun skills to use in the game, other than Kazuha. I would say that the counters in this game are really fun because it's so different from everything else that's like dodge related and iframe ultimate related. Her actually having something to counter, literally, enemy attacks is super fun. It works really well with pyro characters because if there's fire in the grass, then you get the instant proc when you use the skill and you get the full damage going. She works really well with Sacrificial Greatsword. I think people underestimate that build, especially as a support character. A lot of people build Favonius, but Sacrificial Greatsword also has energy recharge substat, and you can use the counter twice, 80% of the time, generating a lot of particles. I think that's really, really strong. Beidou's constellations make her a little bit weaker because Beidou's ultimate deals the same amount of damage, but if it spreads it across more enemies, then it's dealing less damage to each enemy. It doesn't deal more damage, or it doesn't deal the same amount of damage to each enemy, no matter how many times it spreads. It deals the same amount of damage, but if it spreads, it deals less damage to each one. And there's constellations that increase the amount of enemies it can chain to. So I think she gets weaker with constellations, which is really sad, which is why I put her in B tier instead of A tier. However, she's really good in electrocharge comps because she can do a lot of off-field electrocharge reactions with her ultimate, especially with characters like Childe, who we will talk about later, Tartaglia. I think he's gotten a little bit better recently with Dendro reactions, and we'll talk about that when we get to those characters. Bennett, our first SS tier. Bennett is one of the best characters in the game, and it really pisses me off. Gosh, what do I even say about this character, man? He's so strong. You can build him as a healer. You can build him with super high base attack and give attack boosts to teams. You can build him as a DPS, like a vaporized DPS character, and he will deal like 150,000 with his ult and like 40k with his skill. The character's nuts. He's super versatile. He works in almost every team comp. He's basically necessary for every screenshot DPS. Your Eulas, your Hutaos, your Zhonglis, your Raiden Shoguns, your Arataki Itos. He's there, you know. Ganyu could even use him, you know. It's just like he's so strong. The reason I don't like him at all is because he's super boring to play, and he looks stupid. All right, he's got so much crap on. He's got so much crap on, and I can't even deal with it. Okay, I can't even deal with it. It's just too much going on. Chongyun, D tier. Chongyun F tier, bro. One of his Ascension passives makes it so that characters inside his field, minus Catalyst and Bow users, deal cryo damage, which in theory is cool, but it ruins a ton of characters. Rosaria, physical Rosaria, Razor is ruined. Eula loses all her physical damage. Hutao gets weird things happen to her. D-Luke loses any well, he gets his ult, I guess that's different. Kaching, problems there. It's a bad... It doesn't really work with a lot of these characters that you'd like to see being able to do, you know, like, specifically Superconduct, you're losing that physical damage bonus. So, like, characters like Razor specifically and Eula, you would want Chongyun because he has attack speed buffs that you can use on Eula. Maximize those Cold Heart, is that what it's called? Cold Heart stacks? And, you know, but then you lose all your physical damage on your ult, or on your normal attacks. It's just bad. So Chongyun F tier, just because he inflicts cryo onto your character's weapons. It's really bad. D-Luke A tier. A tier D-Luke. I'd say he's one of the most consistent DPSs in the game. His skill cooldown is the perfect length for stuff, for rotations, where you can get him a lot of energy. He just came out with a new skin, which is fire. I wished one time yesterday and got Wolf's Gravestone on the standard banner. Let's freaking go right now. I'm going to be using a lot of resin today to get that up. Maybe I'll stream it after this video goes live. What the heck, guys? D-Luke is one of the greatest characters in the game. He's a lot of fun to play. He feels very fluid. He's got the Dragon Shrike, which I don't know if you can do that on controller, but I've never been able to. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, D-Luke's pretty freaking good, you guys. You know that. Diona, S tier. I would say probably the bottom of S tier. She's pretty freaking good. She's got the shields and the heals. Sacrificial Bow works really well with her. Her ultimate is really nice. She scales super hard with constellations. She's really, really strong, I would say, as a support character. She works well in freeze comps, your Ayaka, Ganyu, Kokami comps. Actually, Xingqiu should be in there instead of Ayaka and Ganyu. You only need one DPS in that comp. But yeah, she works really well in National Team. Obviously, you have National Team, which is going to be bumping up a lot of these characters into higher tiers as they go. These quick swap teams, Diona works really well in them. She's pretty strong, you guys. She's pretty strong. She doesn't deal a ton of damage, per se. She can. Any character you build can do a lot of damage, but, you know, there's that. I think she's a pretty solid character. Fischl, I'm going to say the top of A tier. With Dendro reactions coming in, Aggravate and Spread, Quicken, Electro is looking a lot better, and Fischl is looking a lot better. She is one of the characters that I built initially in my first team, Jean, Venti, D-Luke, and Fischl, and that team carried me through Liyue and Mondstadt as I began my journey through the game, so I have a nostalgic place for these two. They're definitely unbiasedly A tier, but I do think they could be higher. Well, she could be S. I don't think he gets much higher than A, but I think Fischl, especially with Constellation, scales really nicely, and she has, you know, she can be built physical, she can be built Electro. She probably should be built Electro. I built her physical because MTash told me to, and then, you know, that really didn't work out for me. So I don't really use Fischl anymore. It's kind of sad. But I'm not going to blame MTash for that one. So that's Fischl. I think Ganyu, not as good as Bennett, but double S tier, probably the best DPS in the game, question mark. I think built well with Amos Bow, Wander's Troop. You know, you're looking at the easiest DPS because it doesn't take skill or burst. It doesn't take energy. It doesn't take... all it takes is like... you know, just a little bit of time to charge up your shots. You can stand back. You can stand in the Benny ultimate and just fire off 300,000 damage over and over and over again on AoE. It's insane. She's so strong. Again, Blizzard Strayer, she doesn't need to build as much crit rate. You can focus on crit damage, or at least a crit damage circlet without having to worry about crit rate. It's really, really easy. Ganyu's super strong. There are other weapons besides Amos Bow that you can get, of course. I think she's a must-pull for people who can aim. I have a lot of trouble with the controller. For whatever reason, I play shooters. It's not that big a deal. My aim is fine. I'm pretty good. But in Genshin, for some reason, I cannot aim for the life of me. It just feels a little clunky for me with the bows. But I mean, I understand Ganyu's insanity, so whatever. Hu Tao, I'm going to say higher than Ayaka, S tier. She's got the screenshot potential. She's got a fun scaling to her. I remember thinking a long time ago about how characters were boring when their skills just made them deal elemental damage. Like Yoimiya, she literally just wink with her bow. She does a little spin, and then I deal pyro damage now. I just didn't like that. Kaching kind of does the same thing. It's just a weird little quirk that a lot of characters have where their skill just does a little thing and then they deal elemental damage. I didn't really like it. But Hu Tao, you know, she has a cost, right? She takes HP to get the pyro damage, but also her max HP converts into attack. She has a fun little thing there. Then her ultimate can heal her when she deals damage. She's a fun character, you guys. She's super fun. I really want C1 because then I can commit fully to Shimenawa's Reminiscence and really maximize those charge attacks. I'm building Xingqiu as well, so hopefully we can get her on that team. Just have a lot of fun with the characters. I made a whole video on hitting 100k ults with Hu Tao because I hit 100,000 damage for the first time. And I was like, well, crap, I gotta freaking make a video now. And then I did. Let's go, baby. It got like 5 views. It took me a long time. But, you know, here I am now up at the summit. 200 plus, baby. I'm rich. I'm famous. I'm viral. Jean? Jean is A tier. Viridescent Venerer makes a lot of animo characters better than they should be. My Jean is Constellation 3. She's my 50-50 wall. When I lose a 50-50, I get Jean. That's how it goes. Even on other accounts, I've lost 50-50s before and gotten Jean. Like, she's the character I get. She's fun. Her ultimate is really strong for healing characters off the field. You don't have to risk characters putting them on the field to get healing. So there's a lot of value in that compared to other healers like Bennett specifically. You have to get on the field with the weak characters or the freshly revived 150 health characters. They have to get on the field to get heals. I just don't think that's very good. But Jean can do it off field. I think she works pretty well with Noblesse. I think she works pretty well with Viridescent Venerer. I think she works pretty well with Maiden's Beloved. I think she works pretty well with Gladiator. She's super versatile. She works in a lot of comps, and Animo is the most fluid element of them all. So a lot of fun to play. One of my favorite characters. You can see here the A tier is my OG team, the Assault team, as I called them, based off of Sword Art Online. Kaya is C tier, better than Barbara. I think physical damage carry Kaya is kind of a fun idea. I know there's that girl who plays Kaya. I don't remember her name. Fish or something like that. I don't remember. You can make Kaya look pretty good with a right team. And so that's pretty cool. But I just think this is that's not a skill. There's no skill expression. And this, yeah, and doing like 3 little icicles around you that they're like this close to your character too. Like it's just bad. I don't think there's anything there. Kaya's not a fun looking character to play. He's got cool animation. He's got a great look. He's got pretty interesting lore as well, being related to that guy. It's all interesting. I just don't think he's fun to play personally, and I think his damage numbers are not great, not good. Kaching, A tier. I'd probably say bottom of A tier. She's gotten better with Dendro. Otherwise, I probably would have put her B tier. You know what? Actually, I'd probably say she's better than Jean. I remember in the trailers, she had like the coolest animation for her ult, and I was like, "Wow, that's sick! I'm gonna get her." And I have C2 Kaching, and I don't know. Who's it? Moga that had the physical Kaching build, the electro Kaching build, and it was like, oh, that's interesting. A character that's like skill literally turns her character into electro damage, and then he builds her physical, and she works super well. I've seen Pyro Kaching with the Bennett ultimate, and pyro damage like Blizzard Strayer. Total meme, but she was dealing a ton of damage, so I think that's pretty cool that the character works that well. Just her charge attacks are pretty good, kind of a thing. She's fun to play. I think with Dendro, she works a lot better now. She's gotten visual buffs, which is obviously cool. Her dress is also great. Her new outfit, I should say. She's a great character. I think she's a lot of fun. And she's one of the top waifus in the game, which is an obvious tier buff. Klee, I'd say bottom of B tier, dude. Klee's one of the first characters I got back in the day on that banner. Her first banner, I don't want to parrot MTash, but he is right when he says that the character is clunky. To have to do like the animation cancel sprint jump thing, sprint jump cancel on the charged attacks is just awkward. Her skill cooldown is super long. Even though she has 2 charges, it feels like you should use them both in quick succession, and then you have no skills left. She doesn't really generate a ton of particles. The little balls on the floor can get sucked up by Jean, but not Venti ult. It's just she just doesn't really work for me, you guys. It just doesn't work. She doesn't have bad numbers, and some of her constellations are pretty gnarly. Her ultimate is just weird, and she is a catalyst user. They're not great. Gosh, Lisa, I'd probably say D tier. C6, I'd probably give her C tier. But who has C6 Lisa, you know? Whales do, and we don't talk about those. I'm just kidding. I mean, she's good. Don't get me wrong. She has some qualities that are good. Her skill is just really bad, and it just doesn't work very well. Her ultimate is small and doesn't move. If her ultimate moved, she would be so much better. If it was like Victor ult from League of Legends, she would be so much better. I'd probably put her B tier for sure. It would be so much better if it like tracked the highest health enemy or something, and just like moved around. I think she would be so much stronger. Her skill, the little tap, is super slow and takes 3 charges to get actual damage. She needs more resistance to interruption when she's charging her big skill. And yeah, C6 gives you 3 stacks on every enemy in the vicinity, and then you can just go straight into the big charge, which is pretty nice. I think that's like a saving grace of the character is her C6, but again, who has C6? I'm going to disregard whatever, I just put her here because she's better than him. Mona, I'd probably say bottom of A tier. Mona is one of the screenshot characters. I remember, gosh, the game had been out for like maybe a month, and someone was in Spiral Abyss, and they used Mona, Bennett, and D-Luke and hit 100,000 damage on like a random hilly churl or something. And the Reddit went crazy. Everybody was so hyped, like 100,000, 100K. It's crazy. And you know, obviously nowadays we have Eula who hits like 6 milli. It's not a big deal. Yeah. So I think Mona is she's the catalyst. She's the instigator. She really works well at creating those big moments. Her taunt is good, but she's a catalyst user. She doesn't really work very well on her own. She works well with Emblem of Severed Fate. That's nice. She's good. She's good support. She has good hydro application. That works pretty well with Electrocharge teams specifically, I think. And obviously, Vaporize is a very powerful reaction, so Hydro characters have a good buff there. Ningguang, I'd say top of B tier. Can we get top of B tier, please? Can we get top of... There we go. Top of B tier. C6 is good, but I don't think you really need it. I'd say C2 is probably where she is, like, necessary before she's actually, like, viable. She's a good DPS, especially she has like when you do 2 normal attacks, or no, sorry, you hold forward while you're normal attacking, and she has greater attack speed, which I think is fun. It's just a cool little quirk of the character and the way her animations work. She has really nice skill. She has a fun ultimate, one of the coolest looking ultimates, a bunch of tiny little numbers. I think her DPS is pretty strong. I sincerely wish that she was a 5-star character instead of a 4-star character and got some better damage numbers, then I think a lot more people would be using her. If I didn't have Arataki Ito, she would be my main DPS on my Geo team, but sadly I do have Ito, so what can you do there? Noelle, C tier. She's a healer. She's good at healing. Really nice DPS. You can hit like 4,000 attack pretty easily with Husk of Opulent Dreams. You get a lot of geo damage. You have 2 defense percent pieces. Hit like 2,000 attack, 1,000 defense. You have, it's pretty good. She can do some pretty nutty things, but at the end of the day, her skill, she does this, and she gets a little shield. Like, what the heck is that? She's stamina dependent. She's Geo, which is obviously a tier down from any character except for Zhongli, who we'll talk about later. Chi-Chi S tier. I'm just kidding. I'd say probably here. A lot of people don't like Chi-Chi because healers suck. I think Ocean Hued Clam gives me the viability, the credibility to put her in A tier. I think people do not understand this character. It's one of the only 5-star, well, it is the only 5-star from the base game, from the original set of characters. It's the only character from the original set of characters that I do not have. I've been a Chi-Chi wanner for years. I got Jean instead. I wasn't bummed about Jean. I think Jean has the best skin in the game. Ha ha ha. Literally and figuratively. I just think Chi-Chi is really cool. Her ultimate is really good. She can dish out a lot of damage. Her healing scales with attack. I don't see why people hate on this character so much. Sacrificial sword. She has no energy problems. She has no cooldown problems. It's just like Xingqiu. People love Xingqiu. I don't understand. There's so much hate for Chi-Chi, and it's unwarranted. It's unprecedented, and I hate it. So I will not stand for Chi-Chi slander in my comments section. A tier. Razor, C6 Razor, I'd probably put here under Beidou at B tier. 4-star DPSs just can't do it. It's sad but true. You can get him the Song of Broken Pines. He can deal some good physical damage. He works. He's a physical Sino, and Sino is really good, you guys. I think Sino's going to be really good. So, sucks to be Razor, actually. Sucrose, A tier, top of A tier. I think Venti will be S tier, so sadly Sucrose gets A tier. Sacrificial Fragments, she can dish out some good damage. Swirl scales really well with Elements of Mastery, which is why I think a lot of the Animo characters work really well with Elements of Mastery. I think that's why Sucrose scales or gives so much Elements of Mastery. She's one of the most interesting characters in terms of her passives and constellations. She can give so much to the rest of her team. I think it's a little underestimated. I remember it was like Chongyun Xinyan Sucrose against a Ruin Guard and Xinyan Shield. After like a couple reactions, Xinyan Shield did like 200,000 damage in one shot this Ruin Guard. And I was like, oh, that's sick. Viridis and Venerer is a very strong set. She can give like 300, 400 elemental mastery to people. Maybe not 400, but like I would say she could probably easily give 300 elemental mastery to the rest of her team. She's really, really strong in that sense. She has good CC. Her ult lasts a good long while. Sacrificial Fragments, as I said, works really well. She can basically have 3 skills going off 80% of the time. It's really, really nice. And she scales really nice with constellations. Childe, I'd say, is right next to Diluc. I'd say that those two are basically the same character. One's Pyro and one's Hydro. Childe has a little bit more versatility, I would say, in terms of team comps. As a bow user, he can work ranged, and as a melee user, he can work CQC. He works really well with Venti, Beidou, Xingqiu is kind of like the fun little team that they built, or like Fischl instead of Xingqiu, actually. You get that nice electro charge. So many individual instances of damage happening at the same time in that big AoE. And Childe being able to get all of those little icons, debuffs on every enemy, and getting those overflowing stacks going. He's pretty strong. I think Vaporize works really well. I think his damage numbers kind of got outscaled by Ayaka and Hu Tao and Ganyu. But he's had a ton of reruns. The boy, they love him. And he has, I feel like if anybody's going to get a delusion soon, if that's ever going to happen, then Childe would be the first one to get one. So that's, and that's very hopeful for me. But, I would like to see that. So that's pretty cool. He works really well with 4-star weapons and 5-star weapons. He's a good character. I think he, sadly though, I would say that he works better with constellations. If you don't have any constellations, he's not going to be as good in that sense. Venti, S tier, I'd say probably right there. Venti's cracked. Venti's the reason I got into Genshin Impact. The first time I used his ultimate, I was like, oh damn. It changed everything. Venti is S tier. The amount of CC he can draw enemies in, elemental absorption, swirl works super well. Viridescent Venerer, shredding defenses. He has multiple constellations that shred defenses as well, if you're going to wail for Venti. I don't know why, but I feel like Venti doesn't have constellations in my mind. Probably because this C1 is the same as Amber C1, and I'm just like, cringe. I couldn't possibly. There's no value in that, So if you're gonna get constellations for Venti, then you better be going all the way to C6, because there's no reason to be getting one constellation on Venti. Terrible. Don't level up his normal attacks, guys. Okay, please. Zhongli. Ooh, wow, Zhongling's pretty good, you guys. I'd probably say here. Zhongli. She is a pyro support. So you're looking at Childe as your main DPS. You're looking at Raiden Shogun. You're looking at National Team, right? She just provides so much. She has Elemental Mastery innate. That's her passive Ascension talent. She's looking really, really strong. I would say S tier is pretty nicely spotted for her. And she's got those little dot eyebrows that I really like. That's just a personal preference. I actually really like them. Like Pekora has those little dot eyebrows. Sumi from Rent-A-Girlfriend has those little eyebrows. I'm a big fan. Zhao is voiced by, what's his name? Yuki? Kaiji? That is not accurate. The guy who plays Kirito, and like everybody else. Probably right there, with all the other A-tier DPSs. He's Anemo, and I think that is his biggest flaw. If he was Cryo or Pyro or Hydro or Electro, he'd be a lot better. I'd probably put him in S tier. I don't really care about his health decay stuff with his ult. His plunge attacks do a ton of damage. He has really good numbers, but being an Anemo character, you have to have at least another person on the screen, or an off-field DPS assisting him to get swirl reactions. I think that's just bad. So I'd probably put him at the bottom of those 4 DPSs here. Xingqiu, top of S tier. Sadly, Albedo does not get the closest to SS. I think Xingqiu is such a good enabler for Pyro DPS characters. Your Hu Taos, your D-Lukes, your Klees, if you want to go that far. Your Ambers, if you want to go that far. I think he's really good. He could easily be an SS, but we're going to save that for the truly prestige characters. Xinyan, D tier, bottom of D tier. I think she has some value with her shield, at least. And she has a cool physical damage, pyro damage, split scaling ult. But at the same time, it's split scaling, so it's below C tier. She's okay. Actually, I'd probably put her at top of D tier. She's okay. I've seen some pretty gnarly numbers, as I discussed when I was talking about Sucrose, but yeah, probably D tier. Zhongli, SS. The big man, the big dong Zhong. My Zhongli is probably not SS tier, but I would say for the general public, Zhongli is double S tier. One of the best characters in the game, provides the best shield in the game, provides a ton of defense shredding with his shield for some reason. He got huge buffs. One of the only characters in the game to get a buff or a nerf, or a change for that matter. Not a lot of characters get changes regardless. And he got a huge buff. And then they buffed Geo Resonance. And then Albedo came out, and it was just like, and, these two, Albedo and Zhongli, have been in the same team on my account since I got Albedo. They work so well together as sub DPSs. Excuse you. And, what the heck was that? They just work really well together. I think they're a perfect pair for each other. SS tier for Zhongli. He's insane. Rosaria A tier. I put her here with the supports. Actually, Cryo Rosaria. We'll put her over here. She's really strong. She has some super good numbers. I built a physical Rosaria because Rosaria's queen, and I want her to be able to stand on her own, and she does. So she's pretty freaking sick. I'd put her in A tier. Eula is the Whaler's Dream, hitting the highest damage numbers of any character in the game by millions. Easily hitting like 7 million on your big budget whale accounts. She's insane. However, realistically, your average Eula user is hitting like 200, maybe 250k on her ult, and it's just like such a long thing for that to happen. So I'd probably put her at the top of B tier. Her normal attacks can be really, really strong, but in terms of her individual performance on the average account, she's bad. Potential 6 million, 7 million damage. You're literally one-shotting every enemy unit in the game. There are no units that have more than 1 million health. So maybe Ajdaha has more than 1 million health, but like you have no need to be dealing 7 million damage. It's purely for the screenshots, for the Reddit posts, and that's why she's the Whaler's Dream. But I would say the average Eula is going to be B tier. Yanfei is another 4-star DPS, you guys. It's just not going to happen. Actually, I probably put her above Razor. It's just not going to happen. 4-star DPSs just don't work, sadly. It's just not going to happen. So she has some fun stamina stuff going on in her constellations, her passive talents. She can reduce stamina of charge attacks, which is really nice for Catalyst users. Her whole theme is like 1, 2, 3 charged. She has her skill and her ultimate also buffing her charged attack abilities. She has a lot of synergy in her kit that allows her to be okay. But she's 4-star. Her damage numbers are just never going to be that good. Kazuha S tier, I'd probably say the second best character in the game. He could be number 1. Actually, I'm going to say he's number 1 just so that Bennett isn't number 1. Kazuha is... He has the elemental absorption of Animo. He has the CC of Venti. He has the elemental mastery buffing of Sucrose. He has the fun plunge attack of Zhao. He's literally all the good from all the Animo characters put into one. And he's fun to play. One of the most fun characters to play. I have him on a second account. I didn't get him on my main account. It's tragic. I lost the 50-50 back on his first banner. I didn't wish it for him on the second banner. I have a good Sucrose and a good Venti, so I don't really need a third Animo character. But I would say he's probably the best character in the game. The amount of utility he provides for the whole team, elemental damage bonus as well. He's cracked. He's insane. You can easily build him without getting his 5-star weapon. Viridescent Venerer works really well. I can't even think of the name of that sword. All I have in my head is Serpent Spine, but I know that's not right. I can't remember what it's called. Iron Sting. Yes. Okay. Yoimiya. I'd probably say here in between Diluc and Kaching. She has a lot of potential. And obviously she can hit some pretty gnarly numbers with Xingqiu. I have on my second account, it's a Saiyu, Xingqiu, Yoimiya, Kazuha as like a team built around Yoimiya dealing a ton of damage. And aesthetically, I think she's one of the coolest looking characters in the game. She's very unique. But she's a bow user. Normal attacks or not, she's a bow user, and bow users are cancerous to me. Auto-aiming, her range is really short. She's got a lot of issues, I think, inherently of being a bow user, sadly. Saiyu, C tier. I was really hyped for Saiyu. I like Lily Pichu. She's cool. The character works. She's fun. She rolls around. Her ultimate is cute. I have a Wolf's Gravestone on the account, so it's funny to see her wail around with that huge Claymore. But now that's like a thing, is like the Claymore users being lollies. It's like whatever. I don't know what this is. We're going to put that over here. It's just Kaza again. But I guess, what is this, Electro Kaza or something? I don't know what that is. Raiden Shogun, S tier, probably better than Ganyu. Raiden Shogun's pretty nuts, you guys. I don't really know what else to say about her. She works really well in national team. She has her own team called Raiden National Team. She has like 100 names, this character. Raiden Shogun, the immortal goddess, the goddess of eternity. I don't even remember the other one. Muso Ishin or something like that, the Empress. She's got a ton of names. She's really, really good. She provides a ton of ultimate damage to other members of the team. She works perfectly with Emblem of Severed Fate set, and she's pretty nuts, you guys. She's pretty good. Kujosara is Electro Bennett, but harder to use. I'd probably say B tier. Maybe like here. She can provide, 400, 500 attack, which is pretty nice. With some constellations, she also works a lot better. Aesthetically, fantastic. One of the best looking characters in the game, I would say. Her and Yoimiya are probably my favorite looking characters in the game after Albedo and Rosaria. The queens. The kings and queens. She's pretty interesting. She's pretty fun. Kokami, S tier. Unapologetic. I don't think people understand. Give me this spot right here. Jeez. Kokami is so good. Ocean Hued Clam saved this character. If she's rocking that Hydro set with the Pirate's Wheel, it's just bad. It wasn't good. But give her Ocean Hued Clam, and she is dealing 30,000 damage every 3 seconds with her healing, which is pretty nuts. She keeps the entire team full health at all times. She's fluid. She's cute. She's got the best normal attack animations. I don't know. Rosaria's animations are pretty sweet too, but she's just a lot of fun to play. I really like her overall. I think she's one of the greater characters. She's really good in freeze comps as well. She just works. She just works for me. And I have Everlasting Moonglow, which I rolled for Jade Cutter, I think it was, on her first banner when Raiden and Kokami were out way back when. And I got Moonglow, the donut, and I didn't even have Kokami. I wished on her rerun. I lost the 50-50, and then I wished one more time, and I got her on the first wish. I got Kokami, and I was like so happy. That was when I got Kaching as well. I got my first Kaching back then on the rerun. Pretty awesome, pretty sick, nasty. I really, really, really enjoy this character. She's a lot of fun. She works in every team comp, by the way. There's literally no team comp where you can say like, oh, I don't want Kokami in this team comp. She's cracked. Aloy, D tier. Bummer. Toma, gosh, what? I forget this character exists, bro. C tier. His shield is bad. His ultimate is worse. Arataki Ito, S tier. right up here with Ayaka, I would say. 5-star DPS, really, really strong, consistent damage numbers. I have C1, so I get a lot more stacks, so I can charge attack a little bit longer. He works really well with his signature weapon, works pretty well. But I use Skyward Pride. That's a 5-star I got when I wished for Redhorn Stone Thresher. I got the Skyward Pride. I was like, oh, sick. I'll use this instead. Pretty happy with it, honestly. I think he's one of the most fun characters. He's got such a great attitude. One of the few character stories that I actually enjoyed playing. With all the stuff with the Beatles, that was funny. Goro, probably say D tier. The character's super dependent on being, like, you need Arataki Ito or Noel or Albedo for this character to mean anything. It's just bad. Shenhe is exactly the same, but for cryo characters. And since there are cryo characters that are really, really strong, I'll put her at the top of C tier. I think this character is one of the biggest baits in Genshin history. Just bad. Especially considering that her damage amp only works 7 times or something. Like, it works with Ayaka ult. You get like 7 ticks or whatever, and then it's over. And then you have to wait for her next ultimate. It's like, what the heck? Why? It's so bad, in my opinion. Yunjin, pretty good. I'd probably say right here. She works well with Ayato, which we'll get to soon. I think she's okay. She has a counter, which is fun. She's Geo, which is bad. She has split scaling on her ultimate, which I talked about in my video yesterday. It's just, she just doesn't really work for me. Aesthetically, she's great. I do like that. Yae Miko, S tier. Freaking so good. This unit is insane. And I'm talking pre-Dendro, baby. With Dendro, she could be at SS tier. I think Yae Miko is super strong. She's Electro Albedo. She's what I wanted from Albedo. I think she just, it's a little harder for her because she has to use her skill 3 times. She gets interrupted. For a sub DPS, I think she spends a little bit too much time on the field. Albedo, he pops on, he does one normal attack, you get the little transient blossom. He puts the skill down, he does it again, he gets his first stack back, he ults, he gets out of there, right? Yae Miko, she puts down 3 totems, then you ultimate, you have put 3 totems out again. It just takes too long. But that's the only problem I have with the character. She scales really well. Her constellations are all super strong. Kagura's Verity is really good. Widsith is really good. I use Skyward Atlas because I'm a baller. I'm a big boy baller. So I use Skyward Atlas. I'm pretty cool about it. Ayato is going to be here above Childe, I would say. He's got some pretty nice numbers. I think Hydro inherently as a DPS class is just kind of mid. Yeah, his skill is cool, but he's dependent on his skill, which I think is bad for DPS characters to be really dependent on their skill. I think that's why Ganyu is at the top, and Hu Tao is really good. Well, Hu Tao is also dependent on her skill, I guess. I'd say he's A tier. Yellen is, I mean, she's supposed to be a better version of Xingqiu, right? She should be double S tier, but for some reason she isn't. What's holding her back? Nothing. Why is she not better than Xingqiu? I can't even theorize that. Instinctively I was going to put her right here. Why though? I don't know. Maybe because she's a bow user? There it is. That she's a bow user. Yeah. Kuki Shinobu. Gosh. C tier. I don't know anything about this character, actually. It's a pretty mid character. Heizo. What the heck? This is like Toma. I don't know what the heck this character is. C tier. Tignari. Okay, here we go. This is an interesting character. Okay. Tignari is Dendro Ganyu as best as he could be. I think Dendro is just not a DPS element, sadly. It's a support element like Animo and Geo. You're never gonna see a Dendro character actually hit insane numbers unless their multipliers are just freaking broken, right? I think just inherently, Dendro doesn't have like anything really good. I will say spread is technically better than aggravate, by zero point 0.1. It's what 1.15 for aggravate and 1.25 for spread. It's just like, it's not that great. I probably put him here below Eula, B tier. Cole, bad. Cole's bad, you guys. Sorry to my Twitch viewer, MP. I know you're building her. She's so much worse. Dory, worst character in the game. Dory's the worst character in the game, guys. She's so bad. I can't remember specifically why, but I read her descriptions, all of her numbers, all of her skills, all of her passives. Oh yeah, her passives do nothing. She's worthless, guys. She's terrible. I'm not going to say any more on it. She's the worst character in the game. Nilo, I don't know enough about her to really put her higher than Tignari. No, she's going to be better than Tignari. I'd probably put her here, prospectively. She has some damage. Her skill and her ultimate, I think, both scale with max HP, and she has a sword coming out. Jade Cutter is obviously going to be strong on her as well. Jade Cutter's shown up a couple times, so probably more people have that than are going to get her signature weapon. I don't recall her specific passives to say how well she scales or her constellations, but I'd probably put her A tier right there above Jean. There's a lot of five-star DPSs in this row, I would say. Sino, going to be an S tier character. I'd probably put him here with Hu Tao. As far as DPSs go, I think he has so much potential. I think he works well. There's an event weapon coming that will grant attack percent and elements mastery. Sadly, I think the weapon passive stat, or the secondary stat, is attack percent, which is just bad, sadly. But I think with his signature weapon, he has like near unlimited potential. He works really well in a lot of team comps. I'm going to be building 3 elemental mastery based supports. And Candace, who we'll talk about next as our last character. This video has gone on for too long. But yeah, I think Sino has a really, really high ceiling, and I'm excited to see his DPS shine. Candace is going to be at the bottom of A tier. I think she brings a lot to the table with elemental normal attack buffing. She can buff. Let's just go through the list here. She can buff Bennett. She can buff Hu Tao. She can buff Sino. She can buff all Catalyst users. She can buff Ayaka. She can buff Arataki Ito. She can buff Ayato. She can buff Childe. She can buff Diluc. She can buff Yoimiya. She can buff Kaching. She can buff Zhao and his ultimate. She can buff Nilu. She can buff she can buff anybody under the influence of Chongyun. She can buff Klee. I already talked about Catalyst users. She can buff Noelle. She can buff actually she can buff Aloy if you wanted to go there as well. I think she brings a ton to the table. Her ripple effect is going to be really cool on her ultimate. All of her damage in her skill and her ultimate scales with HP. There's no split scaling, which I think is undervalued on characters. She can build a 3-star weapon and be absolutely fine because base attack doesn't matter at all. I think she's a really, really strong character. Okay, guys, that just over an hour here, coming up on an hour. Is every character in Genshin Impact on the tier list. I think this is pretty based. I don't think there's a lot of controversy here, except maybe Chi-Chi. For some reason, people hate on this character so much. I think this is perfect. We'll see you guys in the next video. I'm capitalizing on my viewership by uploading 2 days in a row. Let's freaking go right now, okay? Let's freaking go, dude. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.